Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Monica Wilkinson Kelly. I'm coming to you from the Edith Ford Library in Ovid, New York. We're working on an oral history project to document the craft beverage industry and agriculture between Cayuga and Seneca Lakes. And part of that programming is talking with people who are producers and restaurateurs. And with the holiday season, I thought it'd be wonderful to talk about what is available, since many of the bistros and wineries, etc., are seasonal, or because of COVID, we have very limited, but there are some options out there for people interested. So I have two guests today. Both are chefs. I have Chef Alex from the Grist Iron Brewing Company, and they are located at 4880 New York, Route 14 in Burdett, New York. And I also have Chef Orlando Rodriguez, and he is from Graft Wine and Cider Bar, located at 204 North Franklin Street in Watkins Glen. So good morning, both of you. I appreciate you coming in 2 days before a holiday. So thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay,
Morning.
so let me start with Alex. Can you tell me a little about yourself, where you're from, and what brought you to the Finger Lakes?
Sure. So my name's Alexander Brown. I am from Elmira, New York, and grew up in the region, grew up going to the Finger Lakes fishing with my family, grew up, Cayuga and Seneca, and have always enjoyed the area and have lived around here pretty much my whole life. I can tell you a little bit about my chef career, or
Yeah, if you could, tell me a little about how you became. You are also part owner of Grist Iron. Is that correct?
yeah.
So you transition from brewing into being a chef, or vice versa?
Actually, it was the other. I don't have much of a hand in the brewing part. I started out my professional career at a restaurant in Ithaca called Maxie's Supper Club, and then eventually was a chef for Wegmans in the Johnson City store in Binghamton, and had the opportunity to open up Grist Iron as a chef and as the culinary side. And a few years into opening the business, and I became an owner. I was fortunate enough to become an owner of the business, and the rest is kind of history. I do have some say in our brewing process, but I am not the brewer.
Okay. And so just in brief, can you tell me about the history of Grist Iron Brewing Company for those who haven't been there or don't know about it? It's relatively new, and it's quite a success.
Sure. Thanks. We've been very fortunate, and most of that is because of the beautiful region that we live in. But so Grist Iron started in May of 2015 by a gentleman by the name of Bill Allington and Scott Barber. It was their kind of dream to always open up, something fun. Bill had a background in plumbing, and Scott a background in the funeral business, and they were childhood friends, and always wanted to own a business together. And voila, it's about less than a mile from each of their houses. Right off, both live right off of 414, and they built Grist Iron and asked me to come on board. And so that's kind of when we started in May of 2015.
Okay, and I think I read somewhere, I don't know if that's accurate, that they started just as a home brewing kit that then expanded into now owning this business.
Yeah. Our original brewer started out as a home brewer, and our current brewer now also was a home brewer, but he really earned his chops at Wagner. His father worked at Wagner, and he started out working at Wagner at a young age, cleaning and kind of working in the brewing area and kind of doing whatever. And then as he kind of grew, grew up in that business at Wagner, he came to Grist Iron, was our assistant brewer, and then eventually became our head brewer when our original brewer kind of went on to do another project.
Okay, and I have to say that Wagner's, it's also on the eastern shore of Seneca Lake.
Yeah, and our brewer's name is Joey John Drew.
Joey Johnson. Okay, so Orlando, can you tell me a little about yourself? What brought you to the Finger Lakes?
So interestingly, I didn't grow up in the Finger Lakes. I came up here about 13 years ago. I came up here because of a job. Well, we lived in the tri-state area. We wanted to get out of the area that we're at. We want to be somewhere where it was, we can grow the family, not live in a second apartment a floor and all that good stuff. So we came up here, visited. There was a job opportunity, and we liked the area, and we ended up moving up here about 13 years ago. So throughout those years, I worked at Glenora Wine Cellars. I was their executive chef for about 12 years. I'm actually a graduate from the Culinary Institute of America, graduated back in '97. So Graff was before about a year ago, I took over Graff. I ended up buying Graff. Before that, it was here for about 5 years. They had a good reputation. It was an opportunity that just kind of came along, and I've always wanted to own a restaurant. And when I did start, I wanted to do something small. I didn't want to do anything big anymore. But it fell in the fact that the concept was already here of what I already did. I sourced local, I used local, and and I've done it all my life throughout all the restaurants that I worked at. So it was. And then I didn't want to see this little place like shut down and not be able to open again also. So I think it's a great place for the community to come and hang out. And it's definitely, not only it has this artistic vibe, but it also has this cozy vibe where a lot of the community comes and hangs out.
Right. And just to back up a little bit, you went to the Culinary Institute of America. And for those who don't know, can you describe it's a pretty rigorous training. How many years went into that program that you studied? There are different levels. There's pastry chef. And so can you tell me about...
When I went and got my associates for a culinary degree, which is a 2-year program. And then I stayed and finished up my bachelor's degree in management. So it was a program that went all the way through. So, and that's one of the reasons I did it, because it was shortened. So I got to finish and got my bachelor's in 3.5 years.
Wow. Okay. So then you purchased, I think I had read, you were featured in Edible Finger Lakes a bit ago. And I think I read you were 12 years at Glenora. And so the level that you had to produce several meals a day, is that accurate? And now your current seating capacity is what? Can you tell me?
35.
35.
35.
COVID has been.
No, because of COVID, I can only sit like 17. So yeah, we're tight now. We're fortunate in the summertime that we can put tables outside, so that added another 10. But right now during the winter, we can only do 17 inside.
Okay. So I know both of you are focused on part of what I'm interested in is seeing really the community between, I noticed just from interviewing winery owners, there's so much cooperation between, they will share barrels or share information. And I think what really is interesting about both of you and your companies is that you do try, when possible, create menus from locally sourced products. And can you tell me a little about those, Orlando? Can you tell me about some of the menus and some of the farms and farmers who you try to work with?
I've worked at Glenora. I was always connected with local farmers. So I still work with the same ones I've been working with. A newer one that I haven't worked with much was Plow Break Farms, which they're closer to me. And they've been great. They produce some beautiful produce.
Alex, can you tell me about some of your menus and what you try to produce? I know they're seasonal and it depends on, what's available, of course.
Sure. I mean, first I'd like to commend Orlando. I mean, you make beautiful food, and I've been to your place a few times, and obviously I've eaten it at Glenora, and I also share with Orlando in that I graduated from the Culinary Institute of America in 2006, so I know how difficult that was. So we share that.
Oh, how come you didn't mention that? That's a big.
I don't know.
Yeah, you didn't mention. You left that out. That's
I left that out. I kind of it reminded me. No, it was a very tough but very fun time in my life. So I'm lucky to kind of share that with him, and I know that we could trade our war stories about going through that and all that good stuff. So. But back to the menus. We're as far as like seating goes for us during right now, we're fortunate enough to have a little bit a good amount of space. So I can fit about 65 people in the current setup with COVID, and in the summer that turns into about 160, even with COVID and 6 feet and all that good stuff. So we're kind of very fortunate with being blessed with space up here. And as far as some of the local producers that I've used over the last 5 years, Golden Age cheese out of Woodhull, New York, has been really great for us. We make a lot of our own mozzarella, so we would get curd from them. Muddy Fingers Farm, which is right down the road. The greatest tomatoes on the planet. Come August, we love using them. This year in particular, we had a great relationship with Remembrance Farms. They've got great greens that they ship over the Finger Lakes and down into New York City, and they're right up in Trumansburg. So that was fun. And actually, one of the beers that we make in the fall, which is a grape ale. It's an homage to harvest time to our winery neighbors. We got some local grapes this year, and they were just from a farmer down the road who happens to own Tony's Diner. But the one beautiful thing, and I think Orlando can say a lot to this, is that the Finger Lakes is a very symbiotic relationship. We want people to kind of go all the different places and experience all the different things, and that's part of the beauty of this. It's not a competitive environment as much as it's a symbiotic family.
No, that's true. That's what I was mentioning earlier. When I talk to winery owners, they'll say if they need a barrel, they'll have some extra barrels. They'll loan them out to other wineries, or rent them out, so there's not the investment. There seems to be a real shared cooperative effort, and kind of a fraternity, it seems, between the people that I've spoken with. So yeah, and I know your salads, you have this one, the Seneca Simple, and you have greens in the summer. So, and I'll get a little to now the menus. Orlando, I know you are operating as well at curbside, both of you. If people want to call in an order, they can. And can you tell me a little about the menus you have created for the season, and what you have available and your hours if people want to?
So I'll still be open Tuesday through Saturday from 4 to 9. I plan on that's my plan still. We do curbside pickup. We have an online ordering system that can be utilized also, or they can call it in. We're more than welcome to do it over the phone also. Some people still feel more comfortable over the phone. And then our menu, it just changes. I have a little more flexibility where I can change it whenever I want. So it all depends what I can get, what I can do. So I just kind of change it sometimes on a daily basis. But that's just, I have that flexibility. I'm not saying I change the whole entire menu, but one day you might come in and think you're going to get something, you're not going to get it, unfortunately, but you can get another day. I just go with whatever produce I can get and whatever protein that I can get that comes in and stuff like that. We try to source as much as we can locally. Definitely all our beverages in-house are local. We don't right now we don't have anything outside. Chris is actually a beer that we would have here consistently also. So, um,
Right, and I see, Grist Iron also offers wine. It's not just brewing, so it's nice. From looking at your menu, it's again Finger Lakes wines that you try to wineries that you try to work with, correct? What do you have to say about what's available for as far as wineries participating?
you're talking to Alex.
Yeah, Alex,
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
so because I know Orlando has a lot of great local wines on his menu, but we do have some local wines from our neighbors. Obviously, we've got a great relationship with Glenora, J.R. Dill, Damiani, Wagner, just to name a few. Lakewood is also on there as well. And yeah, you know, we kind of try to, even though beer is our specialty in our focus, and kind of our food is paired to match our beer. We you know, we love giving that nod to our neighbors, and we kind of try to be, because we have lodging on site as well, and a lot of folks stay with us. In particular, they might be coming up to visit the brewery, or they might be coming up to visit the wine trail. You know, we want to offer a little bit for everyone, you know, of all ages and palates. So, and we thought that, you know, originally we got a little bit of pushback when people, you know, said, "Oh, you don't have this, my favorite red or whatever." I said, "No, but I've got a great red from Damiani or Wagner."
right.
So that's something that we've always stuck with, and even our sodas are produced by Saranac in New York. So we just try to keep everything as close to home as we can.
And so what about, I know you're not the brewer. Do you try to buy as many hops? I know there aren't many hop farms locally in Seneca or Schuyler County. Do you try to buy as much as you can?
Yeah, there's some malt houses out in Owego, New York that we use, and you're right. Sometimes to get particular beer styles is very difficult if those hops aren't grown in New York. We have made a beer that was all the ingredients were sourced from New York, but you know, it's something that hopefully I look forward to being able to take advantage of down the road. Because obviously it's the more that we can buy local and the more that we can say that we're buying local, or, you know, kind of advertise that, and, you know, cost of shipping and everything, everybody wins in that situation.
And the topic of COVID, I know you've had to alter so many things. Everybody has. You always have a couple of very popular events. Your rib night on Thursdays.
Yeah.
And your buffet that you always have on New Year's Day, and those aren't possible this year. So it's great that you still offer food, and people can call it in and carry out during the season. So thank you for that. And I also thank you for helping out local farmers by having menus created, and it's a great thing. And my question was, this has become very popular. Have you seen, Alex, a big growth in farm to table menus and cooperative menus in more recent years? Have you, what sort of boom have you seen with people trying to tie it all together with the local industry and local restaurateurs and bistros?
Yeah, I mean, Orlando could probably speak to this even more than I could, but because he lives it every day. You know, changing your menu, being able to change your menu daily with what is the best possible ingredient is a chef's dream, and also highlights, being able to highlight the local fare. We have seen a boom in that. I don't think it's a trend. I'd say over the last 10 years, it's obviously become more and more prevalent, but you see it everywhere you look in the food industry and the craft beverage industry. And it's great that people are supporting it. And I'm pretty sure, like, economically and for the future of farming and chefs, it makes the most sense. For us, it's not totally feasible for everything that we do, so we try to highlight specials. Like when the tomatoes are great from Muddy Fingers, we get tomatoes, and then we'll make fresh mozzarella to pair with them.
Mhm.
Where we're at, but like Orlando was saying before, he's able to change his menu every day, so he might be able to really kind of speak to that.
Yeah, I see he has roasted local chicken, so which must be very popular. Is it still available? And the duck mac and cheese. So can you tell me a little about that particular dish?
The duck mac and cheese.
Yes.
So the duck mac and cheese, the cheese comes from Sunset View Creamery. The duck sausage I didn't make. That comes actually from Brooklyn Cure. They're out of Brooklyn, New York. And then I used heavy cream in that. So the heavy cream comes from Rochester from I'm stuck in the name right now, but they make like a super really thick heavy cream. I can't remember the name off the top of my head right now. But definitely getting local has become a lot easier, I think. Also, when I first got up here, I individually worked with all the farmers. I mean, that was, talk about invoices and a nightmare for accounting. I feel it now because I have my own business and I do my own accounting right now. So, but right now you can get food hubs that collect from a lot of the places around. And then, they, like one I work with is Finger Lakes Farm. They go around and collect from different farmers, and that makes life a lot easier to get some stuff. Like, and there's a cheese guy, Finger Lake Artisan Food, which carries a ton of cheese from the area, and he just comes around and delivers also. But I still do work with some individual farmers that are close by. So that has made, I think, things a lot easier in the area when people are able to get stuff locally. It's like Alex was saying, one is you're getting a lot better product, and sometimes it's even a little bit cheaper, but it doesn't even matter. Even if it costs a little bit more, the product is definitely better. If you get a good product, your end product's going to be a lot better. You're going to be able to taste the difference. So. Right,
because I see Sunset is actually in Schuyler County, correct?
Yeah, Sunset is in Odessa.
Right. Yeah. So that's really great that you've continued that and make sure that the farmers and the ingredients are still locally sourced, and really makes a big difference to the economy, and especially during this year. In Orlando, I forgot to ask you this: how many people are you currently employing? I know I had
currently employing 5 at this point. Their hours have been cut back, but I still currently employ 5. That's not including myself, but I don't really employ myself, I'd say.
And I know you. Ooh, there it goes. 1 second. Oh,
Need a longer time.
We can edit out. It's not working out. A different room next time, right? Right. So some people have mentioned that COVID has it's had, well, most people have mentioned it's been a very difficult year, an enormous impact on the industry. But there are some who have told me that things have changed and they're not sure if they'll go back to what had been before. Some people are liking smaller, more intimate spaces to have, say, tastings and reservation. And so I don't know if Alex, how do you feel about that? Have you seen that that's a positive?
Yeah, I mean, there's a silver lining to any of this, and for our business, the silver lining was it helped us get organized. Something that I think was different about Grist Iron was that folks could just come in and take a table. It was very kind of serve yourself, free for all. So obviously we had to change that this year and seating people and sanitizing tables the right way, and really keeping track of how many people are in the building, who's at what table. Was something that we never did because we have so much space. That was our biggest challenge of the year, and it was also our biggest learning curve. So post COVID, we've taken a lot from this, and we kind of have some ideas of how we would change things to enhance the guest experience, the hospitality, sanitation, and hopefully we get to loosen the reins a little bit someday. So we can have more people kind of free in this space, because that's really what it was built for. I mean, if you've been to our place, most of it's outside. It's all about being outside, looking at the lake, listening to the band, or participating in the event that we're having, or what have you. But I think we've learned a lot from that, and it definitely was something that we weren't going to commit to. So we've changed our business forever because of it, and I think in a positive way. I'll let you know in about a year and a half, 2 years, or 6 months, or whenever this is over. But we definitely took away some positive things from it.
Right, and I have to say you're family friendly. You mentioned that people of all ages have been going to Grist Iron for a while. It's I've seen children there, families, and you did expand and create a new pavilion, I think, this year. So and I know there were limited people by not reservation, but you had to wait and be seated. You couldn't just walk in and pick any spot. So you've really done a great job organizing that at Grist Iron when I did go there this summer.
Thanks.
And in Orlando, my heart sank a bit when I read that you opened right before this COVID happened. So that must have been a tremendous challenge. And so if you have any.
It was a challenge, a little bit of a challenge. I was fortunate enough that I'm small enough that I can move around pretty quick and adjust pretty quick. So, I mean, we closed for about a month and a half and then reopened. And honestly, one of the reasons I closed was because you could obviously still do to-goes, but when everything happened, but when I totally closed it down for about a month and a half, Graf wasn't known to do to-go orders. We're not known for that. So I was like, oh man, this is not going to be good. But people started reaching out, which is amazing, and they were like, oh, are you gonna start doing to-goes and doing this and doing that? But meanwhile, while I was closed, I was working on a website because we didn't have a website, and by the time I opened to do to-goes, like the website popped up, we were ready to go, and that's how, and then just all rolled together. And then after that, we were able to open, so we opened back up and work with what we had. My staff was great. I mean, they adjusted quick also, but we're a very intimate staff. We don't have a massive staff, so I know Grist Iron has a big staff. I was up there. I've been up there before COVID, and I've been there during COVID. So you guys are doing a great job up there. We go once in a while because the kids like to go up there and hang out, and sometimes just nice to relax and have somebody else serve you instead. So
yeah, and I don't know. Maybe I'm not being objective, but you really can't beat a Sunset Lake on Seneca Lake sunset. It's just beautiful. And
yeah.
So, I really thank you both, and I know that you have some seasonal hours just during this week, Orlando. If you wanted to share some of the ways that people can reach out to you and order, and I think it's
this week I'm gonna shut it down for about 10 days. So we're gonna close December 24th, and we'll reopen January 5th of 2021. So start a new year fresh. Everybody gets a little break, and I think it's the staff kind of needs it, and we'll come back strongly, just like we've been doing. So I look forward to it. So
yeah, no, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you both taking time from your busy schedules during this Christmas week that that you were able to come and talk and share some of your stories. And I'm so happy to have both of you here, and good luck and happy and healthy remaining year. And, I thank you for your time and everything you do in trying to promote the industry and work with the local producers to create wonderful menus and wine and beer pairings and cider. We didn't get to talk about cider, Orlando, but I know you also offer several cidery products from the area.
yeah, we do. We definitely offer a variety of ciders. Cider in this area has definitely grown big time, and I'm so pleased to have them. All the vendors that I've met and producers that I've met, they do a great job with the ciders in the Finger Lakes region. It's not your typical, and I'm kind of bad at it because I just kind of bring in what I like. So, but sometimes I should bring in like a sweeter cider, but most of our ciders are like semi-sweet to dry. But all the producers do an amazing job. We have Perry's also. Like we have one of the Perry's from Black Duck Cidery. They do a nice job also. So.
Great. And looking at your dishes, and I think it's wonderful that you infuse not only local products, but some of your own, personal, a combination of your own personal menus and heritage too. So I think they're wonderful, healthy menus, it looks like, and I really appreciate everything you do. And hopefully things will continue on track, and we will have a better 2021. So I wish you both a very happy new year, and thank you so much for taking your time out this morning to talk to me.
Thank you. One thing I did want to add though is this past year with the pandemic, what it did add to this region was bringing a younger generation up here. Definitely a younger generation started coming up to the Finger Lakes, which is great, because that's something they've been trying to do for years that I know of, was bring a younger generation to come visit the Finger Lakes region. Obviously, it was a lot of people out of the city, which is good, but the word spreads. I mean, those are the people that used to go to the airport because it was so close to them, and they just fly out and go to a different place. So now they got to drive up here, see the region, and I think it will definitely bring more people to the region in the future also.
Right. Well, and a couple of the winery owners I have interviewed have said that people that may have traveled to Europe or other parts of the world have stayed more local. They got in a car and drove up to the Finger Lakes for a 4 or 5 hour trip and discovered really how wonderful it is and how many great wineries and cideries and breweries there are. And the scenic beauty of the Finger Lakes is just wonderful. So I think that's absolutely true. And anything else, Alex, you'd like to add?
Yeah, if I could piggyback on what you both just said, because we have lodging at the brewery, which is right across from the parking lot, I think Orlando's right. We're seeing, the benefit of COVID was you couldn't go anywhere. So to take a trip, a lot of people were coming even from Rochester to come down and spend the night just to kind of get out of their house. And, we had a lot of people kind of, inquiring about our safety practices, both at the brewery and the lodge. And then, I think people felt comfortable enough to kind of jump out of their shell and come down and stay for a night, and saw what we were doing at the brewery and felt good about that. And, I commend a lot of the other local people in the area for really stepping up their game to make people feel comfortable, because, it definitely worked, and we did see quite a few people regionally kind of come out of the woodwork. You know, we always saw people up from Watkins, Elmira, Corning, Binghamton, but you know, not even so much as Rochester or New York City, and we're starting to see that more, and a younger crowd who, you know, is why haven't I been here? Is a lot what I've heard a lot. Or, you know, we ask people, have you been here before, when they show up, and I'd say 85% of the time they say no, but we're from Buffalo, or we're from New York City, or we're from Northern New Jersey, you know, within a few hour drive. So that's going to have a ripple effect for the next 2 to 3 years. So it was a good point.
Right. And the one thing that always amazes me, that whenever there's a story on the news, national news, it's always upstate. And I don't think we just get grouped into this mass of upstate, and, you know, rather than an exploration of, you know, what each community is like and town, and, you know, how really diverse New York State is. And so the Finger Lakes is exceptional, and there's a lot to upstate. So I don't know, that's how I sometimes feel about it, you know. Oh, something happened upstate. Well, where? You know, we're an important group, and there's so much more to us than just one blanket title. So I'm really happy that people are coming to, you know, see what we have to offer in the area. And you know, part of what I'm doing is, you know, documenting the past history of the craft beverage industry, you know, between the lakes, but, you know, the history that's happening now, and how the history is, how we're expanding. And, you know, there are new breweries and wineries and restaurants, cideries that are always opening up, and there's so much to offer. And I'm really happy that you both can offer so much to the community and to the profession, really. So thank you.